Thank you. It was quite an honor to be invited to speak with you all today, because obviously there's a lot of experience in this room and some beautiful work over here. So hopefully I can show you tricks you don't know yet, and we're going to give a basic overview of this. Obviously there's a whole lot more involved in gold leaf than I can cover in the time we have, but I'll certainly give you the basics, and then you can take it from there, or feel free to contact me anytime. I've got some cards up here if you want to pick one up after the demonstration, and you know, if there's anything I can ever help you with. Another thing, I've got some folders up here from W&B Gold Leaf, who donated some gold for us today, and also some burnishing sealer. He's probably one of the nicest guys I've ever met, Urban Billmeyer in Chicago, and they sell some great gold. And he's been a real friend to the letterhead movement. Helps us out a lot. Letterheads is a group of a very loose organization of sign people, and we get together all over the country and actually all over the world, and for a weekend, and we'll just basically trade ideas and techniques and just kind of hang out together, probably a lot like what you guys do. And you'll come in with a project and then explain how it was done, and do a lot of hands-on type things. And that's really where I learned everything that I know. There's a whole lot of people out there that know way more than I do, but I'll try to pass along some knowledge. Here's one guy right here. This is John Jordan from Australia, and he died 2 years ago, but he was probably the finest gold man I've ever met. He could do unbelievable things. This is a picture done by Kelly Thorson up in Saskatchewan. And anyway, Aussie John's what we call him, and he was just one of the most inspirational people I've ever met. He would just sit down and tell you everything he knew, as long as you had the time to go, because it was extensive, his knowledge. Another letterhead, this is Terry Colley's piece. We had a meet in Greece, in Corinthos, Greece, and this was a panel he made for me there. And gold leaf here and gold leaf on the inside here. Terry does a lot of work for some big-time people over in England. He lives in Manchester, and he was hired by Michael Flatley, the river dance guy, you know. Anyway, he bought a big estate over in Ireland and hired Terry and a friend of his to go over there and gold leaf all the elements on the Corinthian columns, and he was over there for 2 months, laid 10,000 books of gold. And anyway, I went to visit him, and this is a little thing of skewings. This is, you know, when you knock off the gold, you can gather it up and save it. This is just a little bit. I use this, my wife uses it. At Christmas, she makes fudge, and then she takes it and puts it in a little strainer, and then shakes it over there and leaves little gold flakes over the top. It's really a very decorative piece of fudge. So Terry, though, yeah, oh yeah, it's edible, and of course you don't put much on there. It's really, this is the most pure form of gold you can get. It's 23.5 carats, so you can't get any more pure than that. Urban was telling me that gold is the most reflective natural substance known to man. Now, obviously we've invented some reflectors that are more reflective, but for something that's natural, it is the most, has the most brilliance of anything out there. Terry, by the way, he saved his skewings after he did Michael Flatley's. He has 3-quart jars packed full. It's pretty impressive stuff. I mean, I guess he could melt it down and do something with it, but this is takes about 45 minutes for this stuff to dry, so I'm going to go ahead and jump on this piece. I've already sized up some of these so they can be drying, and we'll show you the gild. But this is a computer cut stencil. I just did something real simple. It's a tiger paw. I'm a Clemson fan, so it was computer cut, and you just take the peel it apart here, so an adhesive back, and it just sticks onto here. And what I've done, I've cut this out, I've peeled out the tiger paw. It actually has a little outline that's also cut on there but not peeled. And what that does, it allows you, I'm going to stick this on here, rub it down, and it will peel off the top here.
What is that block?
This is just a piece of cedar.
Just wood?
Yep, just a piece of wood, and I varnished it, and a couple of coats of varnish and stain on it. And so that gives you a stencil right there. Now you can do this if you don't have the computer to do it. You can actually, you could put some of that blue painter's tape down, wide painter's tape, and cut it with an X-Acto knife if you wanted to do some kind of a fine line. Or, you know, a lot of times if you're just decorating something, say for you know, a piece like this, of course you wouldn't use a stencil, you just coat the whole thing out. Let me go ahead and put some of this on there. This is the fast dry size. It's made by One Shot. This dries in about 45 minutes, 30, 40 minutes, something like that. This is a slow size, which is, it's the exact same thing, it just doesn't set up as fast. You have about a 12-hour before this is ready to go, and you have an open time of about probably another 6 hours after that, depending on humidity and temperature and that type of thing. So if you're doing a really big project, you want to go with the slow size, and it just sets up a little longer, but you've got a more open window. If you're doing something something small like this that you want to go ahead and get the thing done, you'd use the fast size. You can actually also mix them. Like say if I needed a more open time than this will give me, but I don't want as much open time as that'll give me, you mix them half and half, and it'll kind of get about a 6 hour ready to go and about a 3 hour open time.
Are these products available locally?
Yeah, we supply right over here in Norcross, any sign supply. Glance, Glance and Company is 1 block away, right down on the same street. Right across the street over there. They have some of this. I would recommend, though, probably to call Urban Bill Meyer up in Chicago, because you can buy the gold, you can get the size, you can get the varnish sealer, you can get everything you need. Let me go ahead and put this on there. This is just an art brush. What you want to do is use a nice clean brush. Don't get something with a bunch of paint in the base, because it could come out. And I'm just stroking it on there. You don't want to puddle it up. You don't want it too thick. You just want to cover everything. And if you're doing something where you don't have a stencil like this, a lot of times you can put a little bit of yellow paint in here, and it'll give you just a little bit of a tint so that you can see what make sure you've covered something. When it's like this or something real simple, it's real obvious, I haven't missed anything. So, but for something else, you may want to put just a little bit of color in it.
You let that set up a little bit?
Yeah, it's about a 45-minute setup. And then we'll start gilding. Now I've already sized some of these, so I can go ahead and we can start on that. I just mainly wanted to show you how that stencil works. Clean this up here. Now once you get the size on there, if you're using a stencil, you don't want that size to build up. It has a self-leveler in it, so it smooths out pretty nice, but you don't want an edge on it when it dries. So what I usually do is cut the outline in the pattern.
Is that paint thinner you put?
Yeah, that's just regular paint thinner. It's basically what this is varnish. It's a self-leveling varnish, and with different drying times. But and you could conceivably use varnish, but size this is what it's made to do. So that's really what you want to use. And of course, a can like that would probably do 500 of these. So it goes a long way. Now what I've got there is this, and then what I'm going to do now is peel this outline that's already cut into my stencil. And what this does, it keeps that that size from forming a hard edge, so you can't feel it. Now it's just going to dry. You can't see exactly where this is, but I've got this outline. And so what I can do now, generally with gold, what you want to do is after you lay it, you want to outline it with something, usually a paint, black outliner, white outliner, whatever. So what I've got now, all I've got to do once this sets up, we get the gold on there, I can just come in with a brush and I don't have to worry about the outside edge. I just have to keep it clean on the inside when I'm going around the gold, and then we'll peel the whole thing off. So we'll show you how that works in a minute here. A couple other things. This is a yellow varnish sealer. A lot of the furniture people are using this, and what this does, it gives you a yellow background. It seals up the wood real well. One thing, Joe Chislowski, one of the finest carvers I've ever met, and he did this piece right here for me. Whoops. He's up in Connecticut, and he does some beautiful work. I think this is sugar pine that he carved on this. It's an incised carved, and this is, of course, a carved. These are actually, if you look at it carefully, these are 3 pinstripe brushes forming a fleur-de-lis on there. And then, of course, this is incised carved here. All the gold on there is gold leaf. And he does some really nice work up there in Connecticut. But he was telling me, I said, no, you know, most of what I do is more sign related, like this type of thing or this type of thing. And I said, this is a high density urethane material. It's, I don't know if y'all have ever worked with it. It carves and cuts like butter. It's wonderful. Comes in different thicknesses. You can say, this is sandblasted here. And then what I did was take a Dremel tool, rounded the edges, and then just took some sandpaper and smoothed it out. What that, it kind of gives you a domed effect over the gold. If, generally speaking, you want some kind of a dimension in your gold, because if it's just a flat finish, it reflects in a certain direction really nice, but in other directions you kind of lose the sheen on it. If you round it, or in this case like a bevel on there, an incised bevel, it gives it several different directions that the light can bounce from, so you get a much better brilliance and refraction on there. This right here is the 23 karat gold here. This is called variegated gold. We'll do that tiger paw in this. This is a mixture of copper, silver, palladium, and gold. And I don't know how they mix it all in there, but it comes out on a leaf just like the other stuff.
What do you call that material you got it on?
This is called HDU, high density urethane. It comes in different thicknesses. And also different densities. This is what they call a 15 pound. They also make an 18 pound, a 30 pound, and of course it gets more dense. You can buy it in 1.5 inch sheets. That's 3/4, 1 inch, and I think it goes up to something like 6 inches.
Locally also?
Yeah, also signed supply places. And it's a wonderful product. I mean, I don't know if any of y'all are hand carvers, but it is. Yeah, sure. But it's really sweet to carve on. There's no grain to it. It's a man-made material. It was actually invented for by NASA. It's the insulation for the space shuttle.